This is going to be your guide to winning in Elden Ring Nightreign. So day 1 is about your needs. You need to clear out the churches so you're not wasting time farming during day 2. You also need to find weapons that are good against the final boss, so check for locations on the map. If there aren't any, then that means you're going to have to adapt your strategy. It's going to be more about farming and finding passives to make up for not having the super effective hit against the boss, and then you need to know what weapons your class needs to succeed. So if you go into the encampments, that's going to be for melee armaments. If you go to the forts, that's going to be for staves. And then you can find incantations in the big churches. There's also other places. So you need to know how to play the game first. That's the big thing and the caveat to this video. If you're bad at Elden Ring, you still don't auto-win. This guide is about being as consistent as possible, having a good plan, getting better at your farming routes, and make it to where you're always really strong going into the final boss, and that's going to give you the best chance of winning, while also buying you a little bit of leniency. If you have extra flasks, if you have extra good gear, that means you can make a couple of flubs or not play perfectly and still beat the final boss. So your day 1 farming route is pretty standard. Take out little enemies outside the camps, go to a site of grace, get your level 2. That way you can consistently clear through the points of interest. As for team play, sticking together is pretty good, but if you know you have the skill on your own to clear out almost any camp, because there's still some that are BS. And that goes to another thing, that a lot of it is game knowledge. You need to know what bosses are inside what camp, depending on the element or the point of interest. And if you know, like, oh, this is really easy. I go to the church and I take out the golem every time without any worry, or you can take out the envoys, then yeah, go over there, get some experience, start farming, and then you're going to be good to go. So you want to snowball the early game as much as possible. That way you just get levels. Levels are power. Faster farming means more chances at good equipment rolls. And then day 1, you can take a gamble and go for a smithing stone by going into the mineshaft. I just like going to the one in the south. So try to plan your farming route and your church route to end up at the south before the rain closes in, and then you can get your smithing stone level 2, and at the very least, you're going to be able to upgrade something into a powerful weapon. If you have a purple or gold tier item by the end of the day, you're doing pretty good. Also, open up the chest. Even if it's garbage common weapons, check for the passives. That, again, you need to know what your character wants, and you need to go for that. They're going to have a main weapon, a secondary weapon. That can also be your status weapon for the boss or your beneficial weapon for the boss. But if you get a crazy powerful legendary, you're mostly going to be using that. So your goal is to just get really strong to offset any adversity the game throws you. And then you want 4 slots of passives, like damage negation, or more damage, or some kind of resistance to ailments depending on what you're fighting. If you have an excess of runes, check the traders. They have good weapons with good passives, or at least weapons that you can upgrade. And if you do that, it might be enough to complete your build. So day 1 is running around, hitting up churches, hitting up points of interest. Maybe you just get the base weapon that you upgrade to purple, and that's going to auto-win on the final boss. If not, that's what day 2 is for. Yeah, for day 1, I was able to get 2 churches, clear out 3 points of interest, 1 jail, and we also got our smithing stone upgrade. So that's a pretty successful night. I don't have any crazy weapons. That's what day 2 is going to be for. So day 1 is going to be getting as many flash charges as you can. If there's another one on the map, that's going to be your goal for day 2. And then you just kind of want to be clearing and power farming. But day 2 is also when you need to start taking out bosses to get really good weapons, and then decide on a weapon to use to finally max upgrade. Also, a little bit of downtime at the end of the night is to manage your inventory if there's no little things to kill, and get a little bit of extra levels and stuff. But this would have actually probably been the play right here. So we can at least start this boss. What we got? Charge, damage negation. Alright, max hit points, sure. And an extra level. Okay, so we got a lot done, even though I don't have weapons and stuff I'm super happy with. But that's what tomorrow's for. That's where we can get other passives and other upgrades and just kind of keep going crazy. Part 1 of day 2 is just going to be that little bit of extra cleanup. If you didn't get your smithing stone, but you still need to upgrade your main weapon, go and do that. If you don't have all of your flask charges, go and grab that. If you're missing a slot or two for weapon passives, just blitz through every point of interest in your way. Maybe you get an upgrade, maybe you get some kind of permanent buff. That's going to be really nice. And then if there's a jail around and you have a stone sword key, use that, clear it out really quick. So one way of looking at the game is that it's not, oh, I'm gearing up for day 3 and the Night Lord. It's, I'm gearing up for the second half of day 2 so I can take out great enemies. And if you take out multiple of them, even better. And this goes back to game knowledge, skill, and experience. If there's an enemy you know you struggle with, like a Deathrite bird at the end of day 2 could just be GG. Everyone wipes to it. Doesn't matter how well you were doing, your run is over. If you're feeling really spicy, sure, gamble on the Deathrite bird. If not, don't even mess with it. This is what all that farming was for, that if you can take out 2 great enemies in the second day, you are going to be in a really good position to win. There's not any good great enemies around the map, or if you have like bad point of interest locations, that's what the castle's for. You go to the basement, great enemy down there. You go to top, great enemy up there. Also, a lot of enemies throughout are just mini-bosses that still drop boss loot after defeating them. The problem is, if you have like the pot thrower giants, that can be just like really rough, really slow. You might get sniped out and KO'd, and that could just ruin the run as well. So there is a high risk, high reward element to it. That's what all the farming's for. It's to reduce the chances of things going wrong so you can just get more power and more farming. Does the route take you to the big castle in the center effectively, or are there jails and great enemies on the outside of the ring near some camps to where you can just get more runes and farm a lot faster that way? But defeating great enemies gives you your build-defining legendary weapon, and then you can also have like your secondary weapon with the boss weakness. It all comes together and it goes really good. You should have a crazy amount of levels. If you get level 13, you're going to be pretty safe. If an event happens, if you're using gold Foulfoot at the right time and you end up like pushing to level 14 because you're crazy, the run is pretty much set. So this makes it to where the day 2 boss is no problem and you're going to have the best chance against the Night Lord, but it's still on you to be good, play good, and know how to adapt your build, and that's just going to be something through experience. One of my friends, he plays Revenant. If he gets the Discus of Light incantation, so those are going to be like the seals he's drilling for the entire run, the game's over. It's just GG. There's some super busted things. Depending on the legendary weapon that you roll, you can also just kind of auto-win as well. That even though I didn't have a holy weapon, I put together a pretty wacky build where the skill of my legendary weapon was a multi-hit, but I also got the passive that gives me damage negation on multi-hits. So I could just get a huge damage negating shield whenever I wanted. It's actually a really cool build. Like, I don't take damage, and then if I hit him with that,
shut the fuck up.
He's trying to concentrate.
Oh, I didn't know. Now, normally on the Raider, since I'm using big, slow, heavy attacks, I don't want the multi-hit damage negation shield, but I was able to kind of like adapt my build, find out this neat little interaction, and then use it to beat the game. So you need to have that familiarity with your character and your class, and you need to know what passives really, really work and what weapons you really, really need to go for. And then if you just have something good against boss, you upgrade it to purple with your smithing stone level 2, and then you just play good. That's going to be the best way of beating any night boss in Elden Ring Nightreign, so I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.